Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to VL F1 Season 5. Finally, I'm joined this evening. Sorry, I'm very rusty. It's been a long time. Joined this evening by a very, very good friend and co-host, Mr. Cradden. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be back again. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm not too bad. If I feel like I'm shouting, it's because the VL F1 music is still blazing in my ears, and I'm trying to turn it down as we speak. But not too bad. Looking very much forward to a new season of VL F1. Very much enjoying this.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be back again. It's a bit of shaking off the rust, getting used to the streaming. Well, that's your job today, getting used to all the terminology, watching people spin, watching people come together on track, and then getting used to the intricacies of racecraft, seeing the different tracks, and maybe some of the negative sides, like seeing slanging matches in Discord later. BBU set us up well by having a good old storming match over in their Discords. We'll show them that VL are definitely the best. Pyro just melting our hearts, calling us the best two commentators, by the way.
Oh,
So yeah,
what a
today is
babe.
the draft race.
Yeah, what I will say is, chat, if you can just let us know if the volume's okay, am I too loud, Cradden too quiet, yada yada. Still been asking who the hell are these guys? These are the guys that carried Season 4 VLF1 streams, I'll have you know. And we are the reason why we get up to the lofty heights of 8 viewers every week.
Yeah, exactly. We're bringing in the massive fans, but I can give a lot of forgiveness to Stillbend. I can understand why you're saying who the hell are these guys, because right now, I say right now, as I moved over to this call, Stillbend was watching truck racing, so that's probably better to watch than anything here tonight. But this is a really nice personal element. You get to see the faces that you see around the Discord, maybe playing League of Legends for VL, people that you know well or maybe don't know well, or in the case of Rock and Brandon, people that you've had blocked on Discord for months. You get to see that sort of personal, in-your-face battles, and it's high drama, high stakes. And this, for us, it's not a race of the season. The season hasn't started yet. We'll talk more about how the draft's going to work, but this is sort of a curtain raiser, an opener to see how people are getting along. There's no massive stakes for teams. It's the massive stakes for the individuals because they want to get drafted in the VL F1 Season 5 draft, which is tomorrow.
Okay, Cradden, I'm going to cut you off there. I'm going to let you do the track rundown. Hopefully you can see my stream. Just confirm.
I can see V stream. I can't see your stream in Discord. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I can see yours now.
Cool. We're going to have to go because they're coming out the pits right now. So, are you ready?
Let's do it. Take it away.
There you go.
Okay, so welcome to Interlagos, or Autodromo Jose Carlos Pafe. F1 2020 showing us the graphics right now. We're one along from that. And we see the good weather in this intro segment. It is to be replicated on track. Nice track. It's got a nice set of varying circumstances. So there's a good few high-speed straights. The Senate S and other corners like Turn 13, Junthao, they're going to be really good at testing the traction of the cars. A couple of the complaints that people have had going from 2020 into 21 have been death curbs and understeer. There aren't too many death curbs on this track. What I think people will get to grips with is the traction out of corners as they try and get around some of the more difficult corners, such as that Turn 13, such as the Senate S. And hopefully we get to see them make it. It's the potential for a few spins in today's draft race.
Indeed, Cradden, you are very much correct. We are now, joining the drivers on the outlaps. If Cradden wants to take it away.
Yeah, let's do it. So a quick guide to the format today. Also, hi to Dan Stodd. Good to see you. Now a uni student again in chat. Onto the track today, we're seeing 5 of our 9 drivers on the outlap. So what's going to happen is we're going to have short qualifying. Normally for the actual season, we're going to do 3-session qualifying. Here it's just the one session of 18 minutes where the best time is pole position and the drivers who set the fastest times will be starting further ahead on the grid for the race, which will be immediately after this. So a quick guide to our 9 drivers. We'll be going individually into them a bit as the race continues. But we've got a mixture of drivers who've done really well in the top 10. So we've got Shadow Hopper, Rock and Sunny, who've been in the top 10 in Season 4. We've got a couple of faces that we've seen sparingly over the seasons, like Franklin, Miffy and Scott have taken their hand at F2. And then we've got people like Maka, we've got Envy, who are completely new to the league. So a nice range. We will see them in their multiplayer cars, so they've got their own individual liveries on today. You won't have that familiarity yet where you can judge them by their driver numbers, but you will be able to see sort of the colour of their cars. So immediately, I'm loving the shade of hot pink that Scotty's got as he comes around turn 13. Sonny's gone for a nice little red and grey combo, so very Alfa Romeo as he comes towards the start of his first timing lap. And we are going to see some times on the board in a bit. Joycey, have you got to race this track at all? I think you've just been very new to the game in general.
My total game hours in 2020 was about, I don't know, how long did I last on the last track of the season? That's how many minutes I have in this game.
Yeah, that was tragic. Maybe about half the race. In fact, no, you were nearly there. You were like one lap off classifying.
I was cheated out of it, by the way. Can we just clarify that?
Yeah, I'm going to blame a conspiracy headed up by Brandon, the racing director. So, yeah, hashtag 1 point for Joycey didn't really come off.
Oh, I do not like the new spectator. What is this?
The font's changed. The size of the hood elements has changed.
Look at, it's all like central at the bottom.
That's weird. Although I do like it when you're driving, because normally when you want to upshift, you listen to the engine, but you also look for the red gear number, and you can see that a bit more clearly in the middle.
So we are getting some times coming in at the minute. Rock with a 1:07.042, which is currently the fastest, but, you know, we'll see. We see Miffy having a bit of a bump in the old pits, it seemed, but hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, a couple of invalidated laps as well. So a good guide here. The fastest lap in time trial, it's either Trav or Gaben. I think Gaben did his without assists. You're looking at sort of 1:06.0, 1:06.1. So to get into the 1:07s approaches the best time trial times simulated with zero tyre wear and simulated with just being able to get back onto the track after you collide with walls. So anything in low 1:07s or below is a really nice time. Already, we're seeing Rock and Sonny get up towards that level, so they need to fine-tune a bit more. A few times further down on what we expect, but let's give them a few minutes first. They are just getting into this circuit. Scott invalidating and having to go off track there to let Miffy pass, who's still on his outlap.
Yeah, indeed. So, as it stands, we have 7 times set, with Connor and Miffy still waiting to set times. As I pointed out, Miffy was in the pits not too long ago on the outlet currently. I believe Connor's now on a hot lap, so we'll go and see where he comes in.
There we go.
Oh, I've broken the game. Oh, the game audio. Oh, heck. There we go.
Oh, beautiful. Was it a pause and unpause fix?
No, it was a unmute on Streamlabs because I'm an absolute moron. Thank you, Brandon.
We take those. Okay,
Connor coming in with a 1:07.9. Sorry, Brandon, I cut you up. Oh, we haven't got the repertoire we should have.
Yeah, we had the synergy. We just lost it with one kebab and cheesy chips away.
Don't out me like that, Brandon. In Shadow Hopper with a 1:07.1 coming in. Oh, yeah, Brandon, we'll get back. We'll get back.
Yeah, we'll get there. I need to have my meal tonight. I'm looking at a chicken boona, so shout out to Travesty right now. Franklin did cross the line as well. He improved his time to a 1:08.6, so the times are starting to streamline now. I would like to see Miffy get one on the board. He's got a bit of traffic behind him, but that is going to be Connor spinning off the track. That's a really difficult undulating section as you go around those low-speed corners in gears 2 and 3. It's really hard to get traction. And I'm just going to take another look at Miffy as he goes round turn 13. I keep mentioning it, and that's because it's very critical. You want to be in third and just get the traction. And because it's at the start of a long, approximately straight, there's a few little turns, but it is where you're going to be going flat out. Getting out of turn 13 slightly incorrectly sacrifices you those tenths that are so important. Miffy has navigated turn 13 well, and he is rewarded with a position in P4. 1:07.6 is his classification at the moment.
Just to clarify something for the chat, Sonny did indeed set his fastest time on mediums. He's now gone back onto those mediums in the pits, it seems. But his 1:07.1 is definitely on the mediums. Gaben, has Gaben set a time or someone jumped up? I feel like I've just missed. Oh, it was Miffy, wasn't it? Yeah, never mind.
That's your boy.
I'm trolling. Lots of people sitting in the pits right now. Envy currently in outlap, and Gaben. Now, Envy has invalidated this lap. I don't know if it'll count towards the next. I know sometimes it does.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk a lot today and throughout the season, of course, about little Cody's bugs, so that not all of them are quite as flagrant as Charmander getting wrecked by the safety car through the 5th dimension tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have a few like this, where you expect to be able to complete the next lap after the outlap, but sometimes it just throws the extra DQ on. Either way, Envy is on his outlap. He's on the softs. I think you get 3 sets of soft tyres and 1 set of medium tyres for the 18-minute short qualifying session. And it looks like he's able to set a valid time now.
Indeed, yeah. So just to clarify, I don't actually think it's a bug when it happens. So I was speaking, I think it's to Brandon, and he explained that if, for example, on a chicane, if you cut straight over, to gain some momentum going into the next lap, rather than obviously doing the slowing down, speeding up kind of thing, that it will then impact the next lap so that you don't gain that advantage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well said.
So, you know, it is one of those things. I just didn't know why he'd invalidated, but as you can see, he's clearly allowed to set a time on this lap. Getting plenty of that battery used. Let's try and get it down to 0% before it gets to the start-finish line. Otherwise, wasted efficiency.
True that. Okay, what I'd like to talk about now is a little quirk with tyre selection and carried over tyre wear. So, for those who are completely new to F1, as you drive around the track, your tyres get worn from the pressure that they're under. And as tyres get more worn, they lose a lot of traction, they become worse in performance, and your times will get slower and slower. What should happen in real life, and what will happen today, is the tyres that the drivers will qualify on in this session will keep the wear that they accumulate, and that will carry over into the 50% race that we're going to have after this. So if you go out in a set of tyres and you set a blistering time, it's probably in your best interests to go back into the garage and just save that tyre wear, because otherwise it won't last very long when you get into the race. So yeah, Sonny will have set his best time at the moment on medium tyres, which is a really great time, by the way. He might want to come in and just sort of chill for the rest of the session instead of wearing out the same mediums that he'll be using for the race.
Indeed. Gaben looking like he was on a hot lap, by the way, and got caught up in some traffic. So not too sure if he is intending on going to pits now, because he's decided not to use that battery. But unfortunate if so. We do have Rock, Sonny, and Shadow all on out laps now. Shadow actually now on a hot lap, being the first one out of those pits. Those three are going to look to try to battle it out, as you say, try and get the 106s, see where they can get in those numbers. Rock on the mediums, Sonny setting on the mediums, but now on the softs, and Shadow on the softs as well.
And there we go. Rock's actually just invalidated on the Aston Martin turns 2 and 3 complex. It's really awkward because you have to sort of catapult yourself out of that corner to get the maximum throttle down that long street and into the Lakes Descent corner. He's going to have to either go back in or attempt on the second lap with full ERS. So that's awkward for Rock. Sonny, of course, back in the pits. So you do sort of look to Shadow Hopper. We've mentioned those 3 drivers. They were the 3 drivers that finished in the top 10 of Season 4, the last season of VL. That's going to be important going into the draft as well, because one of the rules we have for our VL draft is that any senior team or any project team can only have 2 top 10 drivers on it. So an example would be Travis, Charmander, and Shadow Hopper were all top 10 drivers, and they were all in Project Red Bull last season. As a result, Travis had to let one of them go, or leave the team himself, and Shadow Hopper, who's just set a purple 106.997, is a really attractive commodity, and showing it today with that time.
Yeah, indeed, he'd shaved off plenty of time, jumping up to that top spot. Very well done there. So, Rock now on an official lap. Hasn't invalidated this time, but he is coming up to some yellow flags with, I think, Envy, maybe Shadow. I think you actually could be Shadow in front of him. Yeah,
Shadow's
Shadow.
totally saving tyre wear at the moment. He's happy with the lap. Just wants to save his slicks. Rock's going to continue past him and work into Sector 2.
Yeah, Rock really needs to get going here if he's trying to beat that 106.9. A little bit off the pace at the moment, so hopefully picks it up. We'll be seeing very shortly.
Time trial he can do better, but it's just a matter of getting it right on the track. Of course, he's on medium tyres, so there is a bit of a disadvantage there. Medium tyres will last longer in the race because they're a harder compound, but they don't quite bring the performance that the soft tyres do. You do lose about half a second to a second every single lap.
Indeed. However, I want to give a shout out to his little Carcel as he dives into the pits. Never mind. Probably sauce for that man. But yeah, his car was a nice little fruity looking thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the camera angle for it. It does have a nice set of stripes. It's I think Impress did it for the League of Legends teams in VL. He did like a logo power ranking and just talked about several artistic descriptions. We might do that if the 50% race gets a bit boring and talk about car designs.
It's such a shame that we can't have custom skins within a league, by the way, because we could have our own teams, our own team colours, etc. But, you know,
Yes.
we'll get there one day, sure.
Stillbend is probably the maestro of creating custom skins. I've seen a few of his designs in ACC. It's just beautiful how well he mixes real-life brands like Uber and just paints miracles with them. So, yeah, this message has been sponsored by Stillbend.
Connor looking to improve here, and he jumps up to 4th spot. Incredible stuff, shaving off plenty of time in that last sector there. Who's your one to watch today, Adam?
Okay, great question. I've talked enough about the top 3 so far. We'll do individual profiles about them later. I want to look for that name that is sort of less heralded and just jumps up unexpectedly. With that time, Connor is a really nice candidate. Some of our VL driving community will see him from ACC, but won't have known him from F1. Apart from maybe one F2 race, he hasn't really competed in the VL F1 league. So he's got that potential of just springing an absolutely surprising, brilliant time on us. I want to say the same of Envy. He's been in several calls while we've spectated the real-life Formula 1 races. He's a big member of the community. I want to see him just come in on the track and absolutely blitz the time. So for me, it would be either Envy or Connor Maka as one of the drivers to watch today.
Nice. Yeah, I'm of the same ilk. I remember last season watching Sonny just rise out of nowhere into what we now know is a very proficient driver. Obviously, still a little rough around the edges, but he's definitely up there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see somebody come in, take it by storm, get in some fisticuffs with the guys at the top, you know? Break out the monotony of the same 1 or 2 winners. Can we spruce it a little bit?
Yeah, I do want to see the stats on that. I've got them somewhere, but it's actually crazy how much a certain driver, Calm, has dominated VLF1, especially in the last 2 seasons.
Envy losing the front wing, managing to salvage the car, but there's not much left of the front side of it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, he's got no one coming up on the track, so he'll be able to get back on pretty good without incident.
Yeah, there's no downforce all around this track. You need to be incredibly careful to get around towards the pits now. As you see, going straight through that 100-yard marker. I think 100 yard, 100 meters, one of the two. Who knows?
No one will know now. The marker's gone. Yeah, luckily no one else in the way. He's going to have to get back into the pits with only 2 minutes to go. Generally, my rule of thumb is you want to leave the pits 1 good lap and 30 seconds before the end of a session. So he's got 30-40 seconds to leave the pits. It's going to be touch and go. He's probably going to have to settle for P6 right now.
Not the best for Envy there. Not the ideal time, let's be honest. But let's see if he can make it stick. Believe Sonny with a 106.5 going on board with the Rock, which I believe now, I want to say. He's got 1 lap on the soft, so maybe I'm wrong.
You'll love to see it. Oh, Gaben's just beat his time by 0.7 as well. He's on the soft tyres. He's up to 106.7, so some really competitive times now as our drivers master the course. Yeah, he's close to Sonny, but Sonny's just taken all of the focus onto himself with that time.
Indeed, and Gaben, I think, didn't Gaben drive in Season 4 towards the end last time?
He did, so he's known very well in BBU. He's the, according to chat earlier, the 4-time back-to-back champion in the BBU Racing League.
Oh, wow.
He's only raced in 1 VL race. In it, he scored P6. He scored 8 points. So it's not quite the heights that he's used to in BBU. Maybe it's moving into the league with the big boys.
Oh, and Scott is DNF in there.
Oh, no.
Can I get on board with Connor? We'll see. Looks like he's just lost it into the wall.
Yeah, it's very easy to do that on that section because as you get out of the corner where you're in 2nd gear, you'll want to accelerate but also give yourself more traction in 3rd gear. Managing that gear change and the traction is difficult, and it's exactly what Scott's done there. He's careered off the track.
Now, I may be wrong here, but Envy, Miffy, Connor, none of them can set times, right?
It's going to be a case of whether they can pass the timing line.
There is,
so
yeah.
Miffy he can cross the start line and therefore
Connor's
set his final lap. I don't see Envy doing it. He's got 15 seconds to cross the line. So I think Miffy will get another go at this. Sonny, Gaben, Rock, they're happy with their times at the moment. Where's Whopper? He's going to have a go. He's just crossed the start line. We'll get to watch him go one more time. So let's focus on the next driver. It's going to be Connor or Maka. He's run Sector 2. He's going on the soft tyres, so giving it everything he's got, burning through his ERS. I'd like to see a timing line to show us where he is, but he seems to be holding the line well. He's got his traction nicely, and he's going up through the gears pretty well.
Yeah, we're about to find out whereabouts he is on in terms of the pace. He needs to be 6 tenths faster. His 4 tenths that take him up to fighting with second place, I'll be honest. Still got a little bit of the track to make up time. Obviously, track evolution making work here, working in his favour for Sector 3. Plenty of speed around that straight. Where's it coming at? He comes into second place with a 106.703. Look at those times.
Miffy is slower, but keep your eye on Whopper. He's coming onto the home straight. He's 2 tenths faster. He needs to find an extra tenth to overtake Gaben and Maka, who is so close. He's coming up to the finish, and there he is, jumps into second with the exact same time, down to the 1,000th as Connor, with just 3 thousandths separating him from 4th place Gaben. Don't think he could get much closer.
No, that's some incredibly close times, obviously. 2 are the same, and 1 very, very close. Almost down to, well, I guess faster than blink of an eye.
Yeah, you're going into big boy decimal places there with the game engine. I don't know if it just coin flips or if it goes on to decimal places that we can't see, but that's really exciting to have P2 through P4 so close. You basically can't separate them at that point. You've got to, if you're a captain who's looking to draft these players, you've got to look at other factors: attendance, discipline, whether they'll work in a team environment. At the moment, there's just nothing separating these drivers, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, lots of competition going into Season 5 is exactly what we want to see.
So yeah, go on, JC.
I was just going to say, I'm a little bit disappointed in Rock's performance. I would have thought he'd be in the top 2. Down to 5th, obviously. Times aside, it's quite a big gap. It's almost half a second. In fact, it's over half a second slower than 4th place, 3rd place.
Yeah, it's obviously easy to look at the times, and it's maybe you would think Rock would be higher up. I don't think he's raced much in the last few months, but he has been on time trial, and he has been getting mid to low 106s.
Yeah.
So maybe it just wasn't his day today. He did go on the softs, so he didn't have tyre disadvantage. We'll get to talk to him at some point later. He is definitely a Mr. Sunday when it comes to VL. He can qualify pretty well, but he has amazing race pace.
Yeah, indeed. He's very crafty when it comes to the track. Sometimes some people say a little bit too brutal at times, but I don't know. I think lots of it is just good driving technique, really. People don't like being roughed up in VL, and he certainly brings that.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So what we're doing now is we're waiting for the start of the race. Drivers will be picking their strategies. We'll be picking how much fuel they want to carry into the race. And they'll be picking their setups. In fact, they won't be, because it's Parc Fermé. So what that means is the setups that they took into the short qualifying, there are only minimal changes that can be made. So, for example, the amount of downforce on the front wing and the differential on throttle. That's only a small number of settings. Most of them are locked into the race. We'll also be seeing fuel capacity. In F1 2020 and previous games, and therefore previous seasons of VL F1, drivers have been able to go into lean or rich fuel mix during the race and have a greater element of control into how much fuel is being carried by each car. That control is disappearing from F1 2021. So it's almost a case of just setting a certain amount of fuel, and you have to just drive the race and hope you don't run out. Most people are setting the fuel half a lap to a full lap above the race distance. Although the crafty move, the one that Rock might come out with, because he's that kind of racecross driver, is to underfuel his car and hope for a safety car incident.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those gambles that may or may not pay off. And as you say, Rock probably will take that gamble. People know his experience, know how well he can race. So I'm not too sure his pick depends on this race, but he'll he'll want the acknowledgement of winning it, so to speak. So it's one of those gambles that's kind of risk-free for Rock.
Absolutely. So while we're waiting for the drivers to ready up and just sort of agree to start the race together, Let's take a quick look at the teams that already exist as we go into VL F1 Season 4. So there are 20 seats in a regular race. That's how many are on the grid. I'm just sending you the screen that I'm looking at as well. So the 3 project teams are the ones with 4 drivers, where they keep their captains. So Brandon is the captain of Mercedes. He's got Somther with him, who was a really strong lieutenant in the Racing Point team. Now it's going to be Williams, that's the second Merc team. Ferrari have Glenn and Hodgson. Glenn had to let go of Sonny for the top 10 rule. Red Bull have Travis and Charmander, really solid duo. They've won a constructor together. They were second last year. And they've kept on Papa Law, who we might be seeing making a resurgence, which would be really cool. Our other teams are Calm and Flyer, reigning constructors champions, hoping not to make any changes. Pyro and Carlos, who are looking really well in the orange of McLaren. Renault changes to Alpine, but it keeps its captain Monty, and Monty will have the first pick in the draft, so he's going to be watching this pretty intently. And finally, Aston Martin is the new branding for Callie and Dan. They were on Williams, but of course they had to make a quick change with Merc. Merc have now got Williams and Aston Martin, which was Racing Point, are now going to be a 2-man team with Callie and Dan. So the big picks are going to be Alpine and Merc. They take the first 2 picks. And I've actually interrupted the start of the formation lap. We are seeing our drivers just setting off. No racing at the moment. They're just warming up their tyres, getting used to the curves. And we're going to see the same order that we see at the start of the grid.
Yeah, and what we do see is... Why is Miffy disqualified? Did he have a little bump at the start?
See. Potentially starting early, I'm not too sure.
So, is that just disqualified from the formation lap or from the race?
Normally when you see a DSQ, it's just from the formation lap, but I would expect to see a pair of disqualifications if 2 drivers collided. I would see them both taken out.
Maybe like you say, maybe started early. But we do see all the drivers on softs, so obviously all qualifying with their fastest time on the softs. What's the strategy then, Cradham? What do you think?
So strategy, I'm looking for AWS guidance here, but it is a 50% here. A lot of the tracks can be done, or at least attempt to be done, with a soft medium 1-stop in 2020. I haven't found that as effective as we move into 2021, but I think you can probably swing a medium softs 1-stop, and as a result we're going to see something like 13-14 laps on the softs, remaining 22 on the mediums. A few of our drivers who are being a bit more cautious will be going softs hards, and there's no real value into analysing a safety car at this point, because if a safety car comes in, there's equal amounts of advantage for every driver. Everyone's on softs. The predicted pit stop strategy coming up on my screen now, hopefully the same on the stream. That's suggesting a 2-stop, so SMS or SHS, a middle stint on the harder tyre.
Just to point out, I was looking, Miffy didn't leave his box. So, I doubt there's been a collision. Well, I guess it resets him to it, maybe I'm just trolling. Fake news,
Okay, so I'm expecting some really hard fighting into turn 1. Hopefully the tyres are warm because they're going to have to control their positions. And 5 lights are coming on. Get ready for the draft race, guys. Captains, I hope you're watching. And we are live here in Interlagos in Brazil for the draft race. A lot of fast acceleration off the start. We've got Sonny and Shadowhopper taking the lead into the corner. Rock getting very close to the back of Gaben. Maka O'Connor going round the centre S. People staying on track, not spinning out yet. It looks like a really solid formation. Everyone keeping into rough positions for now. No DRS yet, but Franklin forcing Envy very wide. This could be close as we go into Renault corner. Franklin going back to his racing line. Miffy forced off. Envy correcting a mini spin, and Scott staying true to his line at the back.
Wow. As VL F1 goes, that's probably the cleanest start I've ever seen.
Yeah, like the captains who are watching this must be really proud of all the drivers who are just not making it an absolute feces show off the start of lap 1. That's really well controlled in a series of corners that you expect to be spinning. Cast the curse, here we go.
Indeed. So, which was the corner that you did the pirouette? I think it was like this one, right?
Ooh, I'm trying to remember. Like the one where the demolition derby happened.
Yeah, the T-pose.
Oh, okay, so this was coming up onto the main straight, and it was a wet race. There were 2 cars crashed up ahead. I think it was Charmander and Hodgson. And I think there was just a collision. No one could see anything, and it ended up with 10 cars colliding. I think Carlos was the one to knock me into the T-pose. It was beautiful. Shout out to Dan Stodd, by the way, because he was commentating that on that day.
I think I was as well.
Yeah, dynamic duo.
Yeah, the
Okay, so
dance.
lot of similar positions at the moment. Gaben's got his eye on Whopper at the moment, while Sonny sort of streaks off into the lead for now. It's going to be difficult to find the overtaking opportunity at the start, although the start of lap 3, DRS will be turned on. You've got DRS on the home straight, and you've got DRS at the end of Sector 1 coming up to the Lakes Descent corner. So they're going to be the two main overtaking opportunities as people jostle for position.
Yeah, we're obviously waiting for the DRS to be enabled by lap 3. So until that happens, I think we should probably stay with these positions. I can't imagine too much is going to happen unless somebody makes a mistake. And as I say that, there's a yellow flag as Envy's facing the wrong way at one point, I think.
Yeah, looking at his front wing, he seems to have it intact, so just a minor spin. Nothing like a safety car or a VSC. He's just going to get to Trundle, catch up to the pack, and he needs to focus on his times and watch out because he's going to have colder tyres. He's going to have warmer tyres as the result of that spin.
Indeed, and I've been victim of that. It is not very nice. You end up doing pirouettes all around the track.
Okay, so that awkward timing board gap seems to have resolved after the second lap. Let's hope it stays that way. Everyone's staying in position for now. Scott sees Franklin. There's a short gap there. Franklin having a couple jitters as he goes up to turn 8. And that's a really tough corner to take. You have to start turning almost before the corner is upon you, so it's a bit of throw the car in. Miffy does have the disconnection symbol above him, so we'll see how the drivers behind him react. AI have been known to be a bit lethal on this course.
Franklin
of
even a
course,
little love tap.
dooting Miffy.
Good game.
Oh,
a little bit of
giving
duty from
Franklin
Scott.
a doot of his own and going into the corner early. You
A
love
little
to
bit
see
more
it.
duty.
Yeah, Franklin
All the
really
dude.
looking for the overtake opportunity. But I don't know if his wing's up to the challenge now. You can hear the DRS activation. You can see the back wing opening. He's looking to get past Miffy. He needs to hold the position into the center S, though. Looks like he's keeping that inside line.
Yeah, well executed in the end, but the little doots, not ideal.
Yeah, Franklin also struggling on turn 3 as well. Scott's going to have his go at overtaking the AI, but he won't be able to get into any sort of good position for the next corner. Lakes Descent, there's going to be contact between the rear wheel of Scott and the front wheel of AI Miffy at that point.
And Miffy being hit by the curse of the AI.
Yeah, you'll love to see it. Hodge won a brilliant race that we did a couple of weeks ago. It might have been last week, actually, from just doing Brazil. And the AI, they were on there. It was a nice test of the league system, but they don't give you any space.
Ooh.
They really do squeeze you.
Scott with, again, a collision on Franklin's rear tyre. It's getting a little bit naughty down here, you know. Putting the squeeze on him. Holy smokes.
He was one of the more, I'll say, pushy drivers in F2. But we'll see how that develops. He's already got a 3-second time penalty for infringements of corner cutting. Franklin has gotten into the pits, so I think that's wing damage from the earlier collision with Miffy. Envy, of course, losing time as well. Miffy with the AI disconnection. Scott with a couple of doots means his wing won't be operating fully. Does sort of string the back half of the race away from the top 5, who are at least close. Gaben and Shadowhopper has to be the battle to watch now.
Yeah, that's what I'm on as well. Gaben really, really sticking close to Shadow, putting that pressure on. Any mistake, he looks like he's going to capitalise. He had the purple Sector 1 as well, which, even in the early stages, is quite a significant thing when he's not leading the race in clean air. It's really
Shadow is going to have to fight here as the DRS comes in. And the DRS detection zone is about halfway up this straight after turn 13. Gaben's definitely going to be within range. Both drivers are going to open the taps, but Gaben's going to get a lot of distance onto Whopper. It's how they react and go into turn 1 that's going to determine how this battle goes. Whopper is really being tracked down fast. Whopper positions himself towards the outside and holds on for now. This is really emblematic for me, Joycey, of the old guard of VL, Shadowhopper, who's come through at F2, all the way into the top flight, and Gaben from BBU. He might make a move now.
What I will point out is that Shadow's not getting any of this DRS. What a nice camera angle the game decides to give me as the overtake happens. So Gaben getting the overtake with the use of the DRS. But yeah, Shadow wasn't getting any at all, which proved to be his downfall there.
Yeah, I think they both have intact wings. We'll be able to find out from the drivers afterwards. But now Shadow Hopper will have the advantage that we just talked about with Gaben. He will have the DRS in both of those positions in the Sector 3, and as we come out of the Center S going past Turn 4, into the long approach to the end of Sector 1. So we get to see what happens when the shoe is on the other foot. Yeah, as I was mentioning, Gaben was the 4-time champion of BBU. It's the big fish in a small pond thing. While he may not be available permanently in VLF1 Season 5, he's a really nice sub to have. He's got blistering pace, as you can see. If you can battle with Shadow Hopper, you're definitely among those with pace. Shadow is really going to come back onto Gaben on this main straight. He's going to go on the inside. It's a clean overtake. Shadow looks to hold his position, and this looks to have a lot of legs on it, this battle.
The one to watch is to see Miffy overtaking Scotty after coming back from the AI disconnection, I can only assume. Yeah, indeed he has. But definitely the battle to watch, 100%. These two going at it once again. Gaben trying to go on the outside this time. Shadow keeping it tight on the inside as it stands. But
they're going too wide into Ferradura.
Yeah, I think Gaben's got the inside. Oh, having to brake. He pulled out of that one faster than you would with a Scouse girl. Hey!
Way! Scouse banter aside, Shadow had to make the really wise move there. A lot of drivers would have stuck it in and gone for the too wide. He knew he was in the suboptimal racing line position, so it's better to move back slightly, follow Gaben, and just get the jump on him with the next few DRS sections.
Indeed. These two going at it hammer and tong. And I'm just looking at the pick order. So Alpine have the first pick, Monty being the captain. He can take any of these drivers. So, you know, potential for Sonny to be an Alpine, shake things up. Obviously Gaben, but as you say, is he going to be available all the time? If not, Gaben's going to be hot commodity. He's not a top 10 driver, and therefore he could go on a team like Merck.
Sorry, Josie, going to have to interrupt you there. We actually see Franklin DNFing just after Renault Corner, and it's brought out a VSC, Virtual Safety Car. So as we go to, I think Sonny's the best one to watch.
It is
He's
Sonny,
going to move slowly around Lake's descent corner, and
gone.
you won't be able to see his car now. But on the right here, this bit of the long straight is where Franklin careered off into. So it looked like missing traction, maybe a bit too much ham on third gear as you go around Lake's descent left. And that's him out of the race. That's everyone else in a VSC. We're going to actually have Scott making the wise move. Oh no, he's hit his car on the pit wall. And that's going to be... Okay, so several things happened there. Scott made a really 500 IQ move by pitting under VSC. He then made a minus 200 IQ move by sending his car into the wall on pit release.
We then need to see two drivers getting 5-second penalties for speeding under a safety car. Interesting turn of events.
Yeah, Connor and Rock, Maka and Rock, in P4 and P5, they were both handling their pace really well, not challenging the podium, but really sort of trundling along. They now have a drive-through. So in the next 3 laps, they need to go into the pit lane. They can't make any repairs. They can't change tyres. Basically, it's going to drop them back in the race about 20-25 seconds. They're now really hoping for a safety car. Maka speeding in the pit lane as well. You hate to see it. And I'm not sure if Rock did it as well. Like Rock slowed down sufficiently. Chaos for those few drivers.
Indeed. And I think the reason why they got speed under the safety car is they was in a VSC. As Scotty hit the pit wall, that's when the... another 5-second penalty for Envy. As he hit the pit wall, that's when the safety car came out. They was obviously sticking to the Delta for the VSC, but it switched. Therefore, GG. And we have the safety car only just setting off Sonny having to slam the brakes on here.
Yeah, I've seen so many incidents where drivers who... It's not the pressurized part of the race. Going behind the safety car, you can just sort of think tactically rather than try and blitz around the corners. But it's so easy to think tactically about pit stops and safety cars and tyre wear and just turn your brain off, and then when the safety car breaks, just plough into the back of it. I've certainly seen that with Pyro, who did predict 3 DNFs this race, by the way. So, yeah, the drive-throughs for Maka and Rock for breaking the Delta, the 5-second for Envy, and it was Maka for speeding into the pit lane. So the good news is they can remove those 5 seconds in the next pit stop. The bad news is you're then 5 seconds further behind. That's a horrible penalty. So we'll see more of the real order of these drivers as they take and clear their penalties.
Yeah, Charmander pointing out I was incorrect with the drive-through to the 5 seconds. I'm sure it said 5 seconds at the bottom, but you are indeed correct, Charmander. It was drive-throughs that they had to serve. Lots of penalties showing here.
Oh, so... Maka being a bit overzealous with warming up his tyres. He's spin-alled his car off onto the side. He's now got really warm tyres as the safety car announces it goes in, so he can do nothing. He then has to go into the pits. If you wanted to write a really catastrophic situation, this is it. It's having the drive-through. It's having the warm tyres. It's needing to pit, but also needing to drive through. He's absolutely screwed at the moment, and I think if he doesn't go in next lap, he's disqualified.
Yeah, I think Rock's going to go in as well.
Yeah, I believe it's a 3-lap thing. So they've had 2 at the moment, unless it doesn't count on the safety car. So we'll see how that situation evolves. We have a lot of white walls on, so let's take a look at the tyres. It's medium and hards everywhere. Hards can probably last 20 laps. I think if drivers push them, they can get to the end of the race. That's a really nice attempted overtake by Maka on Envy. No contact there. Maka's going to get himself into a nice position, but going to be lost with the drive-through.
Oh, this collision. Envy's facing the wrong way, cut across the grass. Couldn't slow down into the side of Connor, but Connor kept it steady. Envy facing the wrong way.
Yeah, so a lot of argy-bargy at the back. The frustration with getting those penalties can often boil over and cause you to make additional mistakes. So the penalties on Envy, the drive-through penalty on Maka, they can really cause you to get your mind out of the right frame of things when your plan from before the race just goes up in flames, so to speak. Most of the front field still maintaining their position. Rock is going into the pits now, so with 25 laps to go, will he switch onto hards? We'll get to find out.
Yeah. And Connor also into those pits to serve that drive-through. Can they make any changes in the drive-through?
They can't, so when I talked about Rock switching onto hards, he can't do that this lap.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
He's just serving his pen.
There we go. Both drivers through those pits. Unfortunate, but them's the rules.
Yeah, so Envy and Maka have both got 5 seconds, I think, for speeding in the pit lane rather than for collision. That means that when they next pit, they will serve the 5 seconds of that penalty. Envy will keep the remaining 3 for the timing at the end of the race.
So onto the front, and they're all kind of spread out by about roughly around 2 seconds each from Sunny, Gaben, Shadow, and then Miffy.
Yeah, Sunny, Gaben, Shadow, they've held together, they've ignored all the distractions behind them, the drive-throughs, the penalties, the AI disconnections, the collisions, and especially in the case of Gaben and Shadow, we've seen some really nice close racing where they've gone too wide into the right corners. And it's good to see pace. It's really encouraging for the captains that are watching this draft race to see the sort of mature driving that Gaben and Shadow are bringing to the table. They're really underlining themselves as some really good picks.
Indeed. Just watching Envy and Connor, they had a little bit of a battle, but Connor got by with ease, it seemed. Not too much left to go on. A little bit quiet as we join Shadow in third.
Yeah, a few seconds between, as you said, as we cut to the interval timing. Let's take a look at the penalties. So all drive-throughs are now cleared. No safety car at the moment. We never know what could happen. This is VL after all. We still have penalties to be served from Maka and Envy, who are at the back driving recovery races. From the tyre situation, no one's on softs anymore. People are on the longer stint. If you listen to Jeff Bezos with his AWS insights before the race, then we're going to be seeing a 2-stop with these drivers all switching to softs for a final stint. Whether people can manage their tyre life or they haven't had to as a result of that safety car and just go for a 1-stop, that's something that Shadowhopper and Miffy and maybe even Envy could be looking to do with those hard tyres.
Yeah, and if Envy can pull that off, that'll put him right up in towards the contention for 4th spot, you know. Potentially even a 3rd spot. Actually, no, I'm trolling. Am I? No, alright, yeah. Into 3rd spot, potentially.
Yeah,
depending
you
on
can see it
the
happening.
pins.
So yeah, as you said, Joe, you see those gaps really showing themselves.
Oh.
It's pretty much 3 seconds.
Envy's in the pits. Never mind.
So he's got the hard tyres on at the moment. I'm not sure what his strategy is.
I'm guessing wing damage. No, he's
So
serving a
there's
penalty.
there. We get to see if the wing gets replaced.
Yeah, there
it is. It's being replaced in full Buki Codemasters graphical style. So he's repairing damage. He's put the mediums on. I think with 23 laps to go, he will need to stop again.
So, Credum, give me, since we've got a little bit of downtime, give me the driver profile on Sunny. What do you know about him?
Okay, so Sunny, I do like these things. We can go through a few profiles as we reach the second half of this race. So Sunny is a top 10 driver. He's a really hot prospect. He's also one of our newer drivers. So he was a rookie in Season 4. and he made his way onto the 8-legged Ferrari that Brandon described. He started off as my replacement after I stopped racing for a bit. So Sonny and Hodgson were the bulk of the point scorers for the Project Ferrari team that Glenn managed. Sonny became like a really nice, charismatic guy to race with. Has loads of pace. He was really good at time trial. He was really up there when it came to qualifying. So if you're looking to pick Sonny, it's because of the attendance, it's because of the pace, it's because of the presence that he brings to the call. However, if you're looking for reasons not to pick Sonny, it will be the penalties he can pick up. Sometimes he can have a history of maybe a bit of a poor mental, and he has a few more incidents with other drivers than, let's say, a couple of safer drivers like Trav or Charmander in that sort of pace position. So Sonny, he was on Ferrari, got let go because of the top 10 rule with Hodgson, and he's going to be a really contested pick. Of course, one of the dangers for our 3 top 10 drivers in Sonny, Shadow, and Rock is that there are only 2 main spots for them, on Alpine with Monty or on Mercedes with Blaze. So if Sonny doesn't get picked up onto Alpine or Mercedes, he's going to have to look for a sub spot, for example, for Dan on Aston Martin, or for maybe one of the McLaren boys if they can't race. What about you, JC? What do you think about Sonny? Is he a good pickup? Would you rather have, let's say, Rock or Shadow?
Right. I mean, we'll get more onto the others without comparing who I'd pick. We can go over that in the end, I guess. What I will say about Sonny is he does give you guaranteed points. He will score plenty. He's there week in, week out. The only downside with Sonny, as you kind of alluded to, he drives on the edge, very on the edge. And so sometimes he crosses the line of what's right and wrong, causes those penalties, causes collisions, etc. But that's kind of what gives him his edge. He's akin to where you say like a football where it's too aggressive, but you don't take the aggression out because they lose their edge. That's with Sonny. His combativeness, his pushing it to the limits, that's what gives him those top 10, those top 5, those top 3 finishes so consistently.
Yeah, take a look at his profile in Season 4, which is the only time he's raced in VL. He's got 3 second-place finishes, he's got 2 third-place finishes, and he's finished almost every race in the top 10 out of the sort of 15 he's raced in. So he does bring in the points. As much as we've painted him as an indisciplined character, he's only had 1 DNF. Trav has had 2 DNFs, Hodgson has had 1 DNF, Glenn, who's normally my model of consistency, has had 1 DNF. So he doesn't get spun out of races as often as we'd like to think. He does, however, pick up those penalties occasionally, or make the wrong strategic call.
Exactly, yeah. And so if I was looking to pick up Sonny, he needs guidance. He needs someone that can rein him in a little bit, give him a suitable strategy, but ultimately let him go out and do what he wants to do.
Yeah, right now he's got no one in his rearview mirror. He's just going into the wind. He's on his strategy. He's got no penalties. Right now he doesn't have a safety car to deal with, and the safety car didn't mess him up either. He's just in his own world, and that's where he operates best. He needs to get better at the situations where there are other drivers around him.
Miffy's gone!
Okay, so safety car. Before we go on to the safety car, let's see if we can spot Miffy. Maka is coming around the last corner, turn 13. And yeah, it looks like Miffy's off into the sideboards.
Plus, again, loss of traction into the wall. Unfortunate. Okay. On to... You want to do Shadow?
Before we do, I'd like to point out the safety car that's going round. And I'd like to highlight what Rock's doing, because I think he's 900 IQ Insanium Cranium here. He's used every crinkle in his brain, and he's gone straight in. He's on the mediums, and I thought he was going to go on to hards here. With 18 laps to go, I think he wants to do the rest of the race on that 1 set of tyres. He's going to position himself in a really nice position. And I don't know if he gets to unlap himself. I think he does, because he's passing the safety car now. He'll get within a fraction of time of 1, 2, and 3. And he won't have penalties. He'll be on a fresh set of tyres, and he can fight to the end. So, points to Rock.
Wow. I mean, fortunate based on where he was when the safety car's called, but incredibly quick reactions to get in that pit. Sonny's now going in as well, but yeah, Rock in a really good spot here.
Yeah, Gaben's in, Shadow's in, so our top 3, they're all in the pits. Because of the timing that Rock had, It's going to be interesting to see whether Rock can emerge before these top three, who might block each other in the pits. I think it's routine, and because of the long, undulating curves of Sector 3, I think our top three will stay in the same positions, but Rock has just bridged that gap really well.
Yeah, indeed.
All medium tyres from our top three, by the way.
We've basically just wiped out Rock's drive-through right there.
Yeah, it's gone. The distance between the top three and Rock is gone. Everyone's on the same tyres. Apart from overtaking track position, it is a level playing field.
There we go. We see the safety car setting off with Sonny just behind it. With his awful
Envy, the only
car.
one not to pit at the moment. We'll see if he gets to. There's still a couple laps till the safety car has to go in. The YOLO call at the moment, by the way, would be to go softs. And even though the softs might only last 13, 14 laps, you've still got 2 or 3 to play under the safety car. So it's hoping that you can absolutely blitz people. Envy's not doing that. He's staying out on his mediums. So I think that's a bit of a bad move. I think he could reset his tyre wear by going in now and not lose any position.
Yeah, me too. But this is also part of the reason why captains will be watching so closely. His decision making there. Is that a little bit inexperienced? Just listening to the onboard Jeff, not taking into account what could happen? Who knows?
Just wait till the wet weather calls come in.
Exactly. Especially when we start staying the tracks.
Yeah, we set up the lobby. We can make it rain fire from the sky. Okay, Joycey, back to you. What sort of profiles were you looking at?
I was gonna go. Shall we go with Shadow next, or do you want to go Gaben? I don't know too much about Gaben, so I couldn't really offer an insight.
Yeah, same. So Gaben, I know of him. He's got probably the best reputation from BBU. As a guideline, BBU, great racing league, love the community. I haven't raced in it myself. Gaben is a 4-time champion, so take of that what you will. And Hodgson is my best yardstick for the 2 leagues because he's in the top 3 in both leagues. I think 3rd in VL, 3rd in BBU. So at that level, it's pretty well balanced. I do think, though, that the very top end of VL, which is Calm, Flyer, Travis, Charmander, that sort of has the edge over anything BBU can throw. So he's moving into a slightly bigger pond, but you can't argue with his pace, you can't argue with a lot of his discipline. He seems like a really cool guy. His downside, of course, is that he said that he can't make all of the races. I don't know what his availability is going to be, but he said I believe it's either work or moving house. He can tell us on stream or in Discord later, or not, because it's his own personal life and he doesn't have to share it. But either way, he's going to be out for a considerable number of races, and that's the biggest negative that a captain will have to consider for Gaben.
Exactly, mate. Nail on the head. So again, I can't really offer too much, but I think you covered quite a lot there. But onto someone who I definitely can discuss, Shadow Hopper. Let's go.
Yeah, Whopper. Okay, I sort of tier listed the drivers before the draft race. Whopper, along with Crispy, for me, was one of my 2 A-rated picks, just the complete driver. You can point to drivers like Sonny and talk about the discipline or strategy. You can point to drivers like Rock and talk about the attendance. Whopper has it all. He's got the pedigree from F2 in Season 3, from F1 in Season 4. He's now a top 10 driver. He's been on the same team as Red Bull. He's a really calm voice. He knows what he's doing with driving. He's controlled. He doesn't have any penalties. He drives quickly. He's just a really all-round great pick. And even though he's only finished P9, he skipped quite a few races. I'll have to quickly jump to Season 4 and see that he finished 2nd in Mexico. He finished 3rd in Hungary. So he does have that podium scoring potential. He's a really good pick for me. And I think one potential upset could be Shadow getting picked first rather than Sonny or Rock.
Yeah, indeed. And as we see, Shadow actually spinning on the track.
Commentator's curse, we love to see it. So let's take a quick look at his wing. I don't see it. He doesn't have a wing. That's commentator curse, 100%. He's the complete driver, apart from when his front wing gets yoinked.
And I would love to have jumped in on the commentary there, but I did receive a text message as you were discussing, so I was just like, put my head down a little bit. Look up, he's facing the wrong way with no wing, so there you go.
There we go. So Shadow, horrible driver, no discipline, keeps crashing, doesn't know how to handle a car. Horrible person, don't pick him up, captains.
Yeah. So what I can go off is a testimony of his previous racing crew, I guess, racing drivers alongside, driving peers, I don't know how to phrase this, his teammates, that's the word I'm looking for, and he finds it. So, his testimony from his teammates is nothing but high, you know? You speak to Trav, you speak to Chairman Nerd. Both of them absolutely love having Shadow in their team. They picked him. They had him season 3. They took him back on season 4. He turned into a completely different animal, regularly scoring points. Again, probably not in the lofty heights that Sonny was, but his consistency. He's there. He's, apart from obviously you've seen probably the worst I've seen Shadow drive in a long time, but most of the time very consistent, always there, doing really well. Attendance great, attitude just all around seems incredible, you know. However, the negative to Shadow is that his real name is actually Shadow Whopper, and he does not go by the full name. So until he corrects that, there'll always be a negative.
That sounds like 8 Mile. This guy's a gangster. His real name's Clarence. And yeah, he's going to put on soft tyres. It's the best move at the moment. He's repaired his wing. Unfortunately, he picked up a 5-seconder for speeding into the pit lane. Couldn't get that removed at the pits. So he's going to have the uphill battle of the century. Best he can do at the moment is keep it clean, go quickly, hope for some incidents ahead. Unfortunately, he's not projected to get top 5 right now.
However, what I will say is I'd be incredibly shocked if we don't see either Sonny or Shadow going first pick to Alpine. And I think the second pick will then go to Merc.
And that's since we've profiled the top 10 Season 4 drivers. In fact, no, we haven't. I'll talk about Rock briefly. So, Rock, he's a divisive figure depending on who you talk to. Loads of people say he's great. Brandon says he's horrible. So, make up your own mind and see what you think. No, I'm just kidding. Rock's a cool guy. Whenever I was in Merc with Brandon, Rock and Calm, that was just a really nice call to have. All operating well, all knowing how to drive, all having the biggest banter on track. Rock has so much pace as well. I've talked about him this cast being Mr. Sunday. You've seen him so many times just going last to first because he couldn't make qualifying, but just blitzes through the back half of the grid without incident, has massive pace and finishes podium. I've seen it in Vietnam, I've seen it in France. Let's take a quick look at where he finished. He was in the top 10, of course, but he didn't race for about 8-9 races of the season. When he did race, I don't think he finished outside the top 6, apart from in Russia. So, yeah, he's a nailed-on points finisher when he does turn up, and therein lies the rub. He doesn't turn up all the time. He was away from a lot of Saturdays or Sundays in the previous season. He says he'll be around a bit more in this Season 5, but it's how much of face value you take from him as to whether he's a good pick.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. How consistent is he for turning up? He's consistent as hell on the track. He gets those points, he gets those finishes. I mean, he sometimes gets some penalties while doing it, but my God, he knows how to do it. He knows how to race. He's not scared. But, as you said, the downside, I don't know, half the season he wasn't here. How can you rely on a driver like that? I mean, throw back to McLaren last season, and it's the same as Tezzy. You just can't rely on those kind of people. Like, no offense to their characters, but not turning up when you've committed, that to me as a captain would outright put me not picking him. In terms of personality, me and Rock gel really well. I've known him a long time. I love him outside of being a captain. In terms of being the captain, wouldn't go near him.
Oh, we've got a move from Rock. Leaves it till very late to get past Gabe, and I was sure there was going to be a collision there. And this can be a really nice battle. As we see Envy go off the track, he has DNF. And that's a safety car, 12 laps to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Shadow Hopper is back in the race. We're going to be back. I think he pits for softs here to get rid of his penalty.
Oh, do you mean? Okay, yeah, I see.
He can do it with the tyre wear, so he just needs to chill with his tyres. But I think he needs to get back to the pits. The key one I don't know, I'd love to, is whether you can get rid of that 5-second penalty for speeding in the box. I think you can. And as a result, I think it's in his best interest to go in here. But that's a real equaliser.
Indeed. And just before that happened, Rock managed to get the track position by the overtake. So that's really, really going to have hurt Gaben, who also has a penalty, a 3-second one. I think that was multiple times going off the track limits.
I'm going to love this as well. So at the front, you've got drivers who have been on mediums for 5 or 6 laps. The option is there to switch to the softs and finish the race, and I think it's the right call. Everyone in the top field should switch to softs. Whopper is doing that just now, and if we take a look at the penalties after he leaves the pits, I think I'm right in saying he's just cleared his 5-second penalty.
Yeah, he has indeed.
So that puts him back on effectively equal footing with the top field. Shadow, your redemption is here, and his name is Envy, who just miscontrolled his car, on the curve of the home straight. Curve of a straight, you can't really talk about that one. But it's not quite the end of turn 13. You just had a series of awkward traction moments, and it's now a 5-horse race. Oh, Shadow's ignored the yellow flag and been given a DQ.
Oh my
According
god.
to the game engine.
Oh my god. Well,
So that's...
okay then.
Now, I'm not sure how much to ascribe to Shadow here or how much to ascribe to Cody's here. We'll get Shadow's perspective in Discord later, but it could have been for a range of things, like maybe not going slow enough, maybe ignoring the delta, maybe going off track too much during a safety car, or maybe Cody's has intervened and said that Shadow's overtaken the safety car when he's a lap behind and slapped him with a giant pen. We don't know. We'll find out later. For now, that's a really disappointing way to finish a race.
Indeed, and not only that, it puts him down into 9th. So he finishes below the people that are crashed out because it's a disqualification. But what it does mean, Cradham, is that we're down to a 4-horse race.
Yeah, not even Pyro could have seen this one coming. Gaben is in a really awkward one because the field is being clustered together for this final 10-11 lap run, and he's got a 3-second penalty. So he's going to have to get a real move on, and he's going to have to get out of the DRS range of anyone whose position he wants to take. Gaben has it all to do. Sonny has looked really great throughout. He's been at the front, but Rock has been probably the best battler that I've seen in this race, and Rock is going to have his sights set on Sonny's rear end and that P1.
Yeah, on to the next profile then, I guess. Or do you want to talk about the 3 top 10 drivers that we looked at?
Yeah, so the quick dilemma, not a full profile, but is going to be the fact that the draft works on top 10s. And because a lot of teams, for example, Carmen Flyer, Travis and Charmander, Glenn and Hodgson, already have 2 top 10 drivers, there are only 2 positions that are in the draft, the first 2 picks, where a top 10 driver can go. So Monty's second driver on Alpine, and Brandon's second driver on lead Mercedes team. Quite simply, 3 top 10 drivers, Sonny, Rock, Shadowhopper, does not fit into 2 spots. So one of those will be passed over, or at least one of those will be passed over for the whole order and be relegated to the subs bench. So I won't comment on it now. I'll probably talk about that as we get into the draft tomorrow. But it's something that these top 10 drivers have got to be wary of. They aren't guaranteed a seat just because of their previous performance.
Yeah, this is very much true. More on that tomorrow. Join us tomorrow at 6 PM, I want to say.
Yeah, I think we'll be going on to Brandon's personal stream rather than VL2, but we'll post that in the VL F1 info channel or anywhere you need to see it before it starts.
We'll see. Maybe we'll just put it on the mainstream. Who knows?
Yeah, well, why not both? We have the safety car coming in this lap, so it is going to be a 10-lap sprint to the finish. Not that deep, just a 10-bapper. The other drivers will be competing for the rest of the spots. So Ferrari have 2 driver spots to fill. Travis, Charmander, and Law have to get a friend to join them on Red Bull, and Merck have another driver to join them. So you've got the likes of the non-top 10 drivers in this race, Franklin, Gaben, Miffy, Scott, Maka, Envy, and you've also got Crispy and Bright to join them. But again, more draft chat tomorrow. We're going to do a few profiles later. For now, let's focus on the safety car restart. Sonny is going to get a clear lead, and Gaben is maybe going to overshoot as he tries to take down Rock into that corner. Really nice exit into turn 3 from Connor, who's at the very back. Has a nice run on Gaben. No DRS yet. That's going to start on lap 29, the 3rd lap after the safety car restarts. It's on Sonny now to clear the gap behind him. He wants to get at least a second on his closest competitors.
Yeah, Sonny, as usual, doing really well off the start of a safety car. He's trying to break that 1-second mark before the DRS zone detection, which is coming up not far away. So can he get some speed on these low acceleration corners, as you described earlier on? He's now got over a second away.
Yeah, so I was just going to point out that the 2 green circles are the DRS activation zones, so it's just after this turn 13.
Uh-huh. We're getting very, very close, and I think Sonny's managed to shake it, which means Rock will not have DRS, but I think Rock shook Gaben off as well, meaning Gaben will have it, Connor being the only one with DRS.
Yeah, it won't be this lap, it should be the one after.
But yes,
yeah, that 1 second gap. If it can get to 1 second now, Sonny's just got to keep up what he's been doing. Keep
it rolling. The fastest lap there as well.
Yeah, Sonny's set a few of those himself. It's really great to see him just streak into the lead, fresh softs, just wanting to nail home his victory. Can't afford any penalties or spins, but he needs to get the tarmac.
Indeed. So, it's shaping up to be separate again. Connor attacking Gaben. So, on to Connor then. What's the profile?
So Connor, I've got a big profile, which is a silhouette and a question mark. I know almost nothing about the guy. The only things that I know are that he's friends with Scott, so DNF'd at the moment, and Miffy, DNF'd at the moment. So if they're in call, they're going to be offering him a lot of encouragement. I've seen him in a couple of ACC events, and he's a good enough driver as far as I know. So yeah, he's a big unknown factor. He hasn't DNF'd, which is something that you can't say about more than half of the field. That's something good for him. He's keeping up with Gaben, and as I talk about how good he is, he's got a 3-second penalty. These commentator curses are coming thick and fast. He just needs to keep up with Gaben, and because Gaben also has that pen, there might be an opportunity for a fight as we get into the last few laps.
Yeah, indeed. And as you say, I also don't know much about Connor. It's quite hard to add anything. It's not the same Connor as what some people may remember from last season's F2. Which was Con, which was John Joe's friend. I don't think it's the same guy.
Yeah, you're right. So the Con in last season's F2 was the Division 1 support, the guy who played Braum all the time. Con, as you say, with 4 or 5 ends at the end. Different guy. This guy's friends with Miffy and Scotty. They come as a package, and they're going to be bringing lots of banter to this season.
Indeed. So, other than that, I don't know too much. I also don't know much about Envy. If you want to go onto his profile, see what you can add.
Yeah, there's. I'm with you on that one, Josie. So Envy, I see him a lot of the time commentating on the real life F1. He's chanting Super Max just with Bauer, just to annoy Brandon, I'm sure. As we see Maka go for a move on Gaben with the DRS activated, lap 30 beginning now, and Connor's going to hold it. So we'll see how that develops. Yeah, back to Envy. He's a nice presence. He knows a lot about Formula One and the world of the game. Pace seems to be average to good, but there's been a few strategic missteps today, so anyone who's picking him up, they'll need to just put their arm around him and just have a nice team talk before each race. I'm sure after a few races it'll come naturally. The strategic calls, the tyre changes, the wet weather, it's all part and parcel of VL. He's definitely shown to me that he's got pace to at least have a good go, to have a fair dinkum, as the Australians would say.
Oh. What I will point out is that Gaben has just got another 3-second penalty. So that could be the decisive thing in the next 6 laps. As these two
Gaben also trailing.
Yeah, they look pretty inseparable, pretty much within half a second or so. It keeps changing, but Connor trying to extend this lead, not going too well. I guess it's starting to work, but Gaben does now have DRS, so he should be closing that gap down. And there starts a circle of probably the next 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, of course. 36-lap race, 50% of the real-life race distance, and this will be the format almost certainly going forward. So it's going to be out 45-50 minutes on race day as we go into VLF1 Season 5. And yeah, it's easy to see a lot of DNFs happening like we did today as people get used to the game. Probably our record is maybe 9 or 10 in a single race. Someone may be able to correct me or find the stats in Twitch chat. But for now, it's just a thing that says you may not be the quickest, but if people DNF or get penalties or make the wrong strategic calls, you can compete with them. It's how I found a lot of my podiums. It's certainly how I found my race win. Hashtag Red Bull Shaft. But we just get to see how a lot of things can propel you into those points and into those podium positions. Sonny and Rock, though, they are making their pace shown. They've broken DRS. They've got no penalties. They're on their final stint. They've got good tyre wear. They just need to keep driving as they are, and they've got P1 and P2 racked up.
Yeah, and Gaben having an absolute stinker of a lap 32, losing pretty much a second and a half off of Connor. Connor now looks like he's very much in the clear for a 3rd place, as long as there's no incidents. So, who have we got left to profile?
Yeah, I want to cover sort of Miffy and Scott as a duo, because we see them both together. We've seen them both in F2 in Season 3. That nice experiment. I've seen them a few times in ACC. I think Scott is the sort of banter troll merchant when we get to Discord, whereas Miffy is the measured voice, but it's good to see them both together. they do tend to have not quite the aggression, but a bit of instability in terms of penalties. It's easy to underline that with the DNFs that they've had today, but it will be nice to see them over a longer series of races. I think they're fairly good tactically, and the pace is about middle of the pack. So it's one of those that you'll be saving your later draft picks for. You won't go all out for them and think they're a top 10 driver. But the interesting thing is that they are potential top 10 drivers, which is what the draft is all about. It's about finding that gold hidden in the ground amongst the lump of spinning coal. So Miffy, Scott, they can do better than they have today, but they haven't disappointed themselves today. They've shown at least that they can perform.
Oh, also, Gaben's just got back that second and a half. We'll just point that out. Jesus Christ.
That's
These
fantastic.
two, I don't know if that was him doing well or Connor not, but we're back within the second, you know? Back into the DRS zones.
That's Gaben. I've just taken a look at Race Director so that I can see lap time by lap time. The previous lap where he lost the time was a 1:10.9, which was horrific by his standards. The lap he's just done was his best lap of the race, 1:08.4. His Sector 2 was freaking poggers, 34.8. So he's absolutely done that himself. He's not relied on mistakes. He's used his racing skill. He's back in the fight.
There we go. So, I believe the last driver, not least, certainly, that we haven't profiled is Franklin. What do you know?
So Franklin, I think, although I've left him to last, he might be the longest running driver in VL amongst all of these, because he's subbed in, I think, Season 2 Monaco. So I think he's the only driver to have driven in VL Season 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, Twitch chat. So he's been on and off. He hasn't been fully committed to the game or like as a regular league participant. But towards the end of last season, at least, as Gaben goes for a move on Connor, makes it stick with the DRS. Towards the end of last season, Franklin has been showing up a lot for Ferrari. He was in that Alfa Romeo team, turned up with Impress and with Glenn. And we had speaking as someone who was on that project Ferrari, we had real strength and depth with Hodge, Sonny, myself, Glenn, Impress and Franklin, who could just turn up and deliver a really nice race. Honestly, I haven't seen competitive pace from him yet, but I also haven't seen the amount of time put into the game that I think would give him competitive pace as Connor spins around that turn 11. He's going to get back onto the track, but I don't think he catches P3. Yeah, back to Franklin. He's got potential. I think he needs to put the time in. Franklin and Stolbend are great together, both as banter and just to see them when they go into races. Stolbend has, of course, jumped onto a mixture of commentary and just community when he was instead of driving last season. So I want to see if Franklin can usurp his power and get into the races, get into a bit of regular fighting. And if he gets picked into the draft, that'll put a bit of pressure on him to sort of turn up and get points for his captain.
Yeah, so, again, not much to really report that you haven't in terms of Franklin. I think you covered quite a lot. In terms of his competitive pace, it's not been there so far. As you say, we saw him driving at the end of last season. He did better than he had previously, I'd like to say. I believe Franklin was the guy who Dan dubbed a danger bot from F2 when he was playing up into Season 3, when he was coming up. But, yeah, certainly someone that has grown with the community. As you say, I would like to see him put more time into the game. I think he'd make him much more competitive. He has a lot of knowledge. A little bit like where Glenn used to be, where he knew what he should be doing but couldn't do it in practice. He started putting more time into the game. Obviously that came a bit more natural. Glenn then become a much more solid driver. Franklin, I think, has that in his locker. I think in terms of the draft, Franklin won't be a hot prospect straight off the bat. Don't think people will take him in the first couple of picks, but he certainly could be a dark horse for somebody to take on a little bit of a gamble. So get him in.
Yeah.
Can he be one of those second seats that doesn't require a top 10? What can you do with that? Can he kind of get a little bit of success out of that?
And yeah, it's those last two picks, Joycey. The last two picks of the regular draft are going to be Merc and Ferrari, so he might be that fourth seat driver. To be honest, even if he ends up as a sub, that's the role he's used to filling. I hope he's got more and more appetite as he's gone through the second half of Season 4 on Ferrari Alfa Romeo, just sort of picking up more experience, picking up more racecraft. Maybe that'll go in his favour. However, moving away from the driver profile and the draft for a moment, on-track action, this is the end of lap 36, the final lap, Sonny with no penalties. He's masterminded the race, comes through on the softs, does a few wiggles, and with a clear 3-second lead on Rock, wins the draft race. Well played.
Indeed. And Rock, congratulations coming on second. Living Gabin taking up the third spot. And unless Connor can kill 7/10 in the next 100 meters, he's coming fourth. There is the final standings.
There we go. Let's use driver of the day as well. I think Connor will have a good shout, although I don't know if it's made based on overtakes or position. Yeah, there it is. Rock, Mr. Sunday himself.
Add that one to the collection.
Yeah. And there we see the podium animation. Rock coming in. Behind Sonny. Sonny lifting that trophy in the air. Will it be the first of many? We will see. It will be crazy that Sonny, who is the winner of the draft race with no penalties and massive pace, might not even get drafted. He might end up on the bench. That's crazy.
Also, all three drivers having a little bit of red in their uniform. Take of that what you will.
Project Ferrari.
On to back to the studio then. So on screen, you're currently seeing how the get off the screen of the game. How the draft picks will take place. The red squares being that you could take a top 10 driver, that being Rock, Shadow, or I can't think of the third one. Sunny.
Sonny's your boy.
That's the one. The rest being any of the rest of the drivers. And then obviously the subs will then just take place automatically in order. I believe Aston Martin first, Alpine, McLaren, Merc, Ferrari, Red Bull, Haas. Whew. But
yeah, so that's going to be the order that we look at tomorrow, and then the subs will take place. So yeah, the 3 top 10 drivers into 2 positions is going to be dramatic enough. We then get to see who makes it onto a regular seat, who gets onto initially a bench position, but can make their name in the regular draft, in the regular grid. Because after all, even if you don't make it into the first 20 drivers, anyone who doesn't turn up, even if they're on another team, you can arrange with the captain to fill their seat for the weekend and be a bit of a mercenary. So if you want racing action, you're almost certainly going to get it on a weekend.
Indeed. Not much more from me. I think tomorrow's the big night to tune in, figure out what's going on with the old stream, seeing who gets drafted where, any shocks. I do remember last season there was the incredible shock with Flyer and Calm ended up on the same team. So are we going to see something similar, or is it all going to be quite straightforward? Who knows?
Yeah, the big surprise is going to be the first 2 picks, and I assume there will be 2 top 10 drivers in there. There might not. We might see a big brain play from Blaze on Mercedes, where he doesn't pick a top 10, saves his pick till later. We might see Ferrari and Red Bull unable to pick the top 10 drivers. It'll be great to see who they pick with picks 3 and 4. There's just a lot of potential. I think we're going to see a fairly standard set of picks. I think the drivers who, in most people's heads, will be making it into the top 20 will do. But it's even if you end up on the bench, that's not like in the schoolyard where you get picked last and everyone laughs at you. It's not like a humiliation or anything. It's actually more of an opportunity because then you can get to drive in a lot of different colours for the season. But that and more we'll talk about tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be getting the captains in. We'll be getting the captains who can pick in, and we'll be getting Carmen who can probably just watch because he only gets 13th pick. But that's going to be tomorrow night.
Yeah, so legitimate, tune in tomorrow. Hopefully we see lots of entertainment and into the new season. I don't actually have a scheduled start date. I'm sure Cradden probably knows a lot better than I do.
Yeah, it'll be, at the moment, it's scheduled for next week. So it's going to be the first race of the season. I think it's Bahrain, but a lot of votes are still in the mix-up. So one of them is whether we follow the calendar order of real life F1, the game order, or we do something completely different. There's a lot of other rule votes, like assists, like how we do the weekend format, whether it's all on one day on the Sunday, or whether it's we space it out. I think at the moment we're going to be moving to a one-day format, but I'll wait for the official announcement, which should be this week.
Cool. And so keep your eyes peeled on that, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Good night.
Cheers, guys.